card can be tracked wherever it is for whatever purpose it is being used. Are you happy to tell us why we are in a situation where people are kidnapped? The same SIM card are being used, but it is not being tracked as adequately as possible. But if you make a mistake, of insulting a politician with the same SIM card, in less than 24 hours, you'll be facing
The narrative is correct to say what you're dealing with in your state is banditry, or is it something more grave than that?
Well, I mean, it all depends on classification. You can call them bandits, you can call them thieves, you can call them any name. But my understanding is what will be the reason for these banditry activities. That is number one. Two, if you talk about Niger Delta, I will say yes, there's an economic reason why people are fighting to get certain things. If you look at Boko Haram, you will say that it's a religious issue because they believe in their faith, and therefore they want to defend their faith. What is the reason in Zamfara? We are the same people, 99.9% same religion. So what is the reason? What are they fighting for? This is the question.
Have you been able to find an answer to that question?
That is still what we're trying to do, because I cannot understand why. And imagine if today they're going after government officials. They say, okay, they have grievances with government officials, but they kill innocent people that barely even eat 1 square meal in a day. What could have been the reason? That must be crazy. And that is still what we're trying to find out. And to deal with that is you need to deal with these people decisively.
And in taking that decisive measures, let's talk about the role of the federal government in all of this, because so far it's been your effort we've talked about. How much of an influence does the federal government have in, or has in, fighting this war with you in Zamfara state? What's been the involvement of federal government?
The security situation is not just for Zamfara. It's across all the northern part. However, Zamfara play a dominant role in terms of the banditry because this is where they hibernate. They move from Zamfara to Katsina, Niger, Kaduna, Sokoto, and so on and so forth. And you know, it's the responsibility of federal government to provide safety of people, lives and property, which is the security forces that include the military, the police, as well as civil defense. Yeah, they're doing their best. However, there's a need to do more to deal with these guys decisively. Like I said, we know where these guys are. We know where they live. We know their parents.
You know them as a government?
Of course we do. They live with the same community we live.
So why is it difficult to get them?
That is the $1 million question that I should ask you.
We are trying to understand, for those of us who are now conversant with Zamfara, have never been there, and we hear you as a chief security officer speak tonight to say you know these people, but yet you can't get them. It's a head scratcher.
It is something that we are trying to all put our heads together. That is why, from what I can do as a governor, to have this CPG as a first line of defense. Of course, military are there, police are there, as well as civil defense, but they are not under my control. They are under the control of federal government, and they are doing their best. And like I said also, our security forces have the ability to crush these guys.
But they are not.
They're trying their best.
Trying their best.
Like what happened within the last 3 days when one of the major kingpin, Halilu Sububu, was killed. It is a combination of both military as well as the CPG and the community that made it possible. And I commend them for that.
Okay, I wanted to take you back to one of the questions you raised tonight about what is fueling this in Zamfara, because you seem to say, it doesn't look like there's a religion undertone to it. The people they kill are also poor, so they're
very poor,
very
for that
poor.
matter.
So there is no
barely
reason
surviving.
to go after them. But there's a question of the mining, the natural resources in Zamfara State. Don't you think that is enough to fuel all of this in Zamfara State? And I wanted you to answer if the ban placed by the federal government is still in place on mining in your state.
The ban has been in place since 2018, so it's nothing new. I also met it. What I did on my own part is to also make sure the traditional institution do not give this consent form or consent letter for any mining activity in Zamfara State. And it's one reason why we had to issue an executive order that will stop giving out consent letters on mining by traditional rulers. Now, yes, there is a kind of correlation between insecurity and mining. And that's the reason why we're making conscious effort to have a clear understanding between the state and the federal government on what will be the best way to go about it. Of course, it's about revenue as far as I'm concerned. If we're able to get it together and make it functional, that means there's an additional revenue that will be coming to state government, which will be used in making some significant projects that will be for the benefit of our people. And I'm happy there's that synergy now between the state and the federal government in terms of mining activities on what will be the way forward. We're trying to fine-tune the whole thing.
Okay, so if I understand you, this ban on mining that has been in place hasn't really shifted the needle in terms of the nexus between mining or illegal mining and security in the state.
What I'm hearing is that some of the bandits are also engaged in some mining activities. For example, the guy that was killed 3 days ago, the Halilu Subu. But the rest are just artisanal miners, so to say. So it is something, like I say, we're trying to fine-tune to understand what is really happening and what would be the best way to make it effective and functional, so that in the long run, there will be revenue coming to both federal and the state government. And it's ongoing.
Okay. For those who don't understand how our constitution works and the power sharing formula of the exclusive, the concurrent lists and all of that, as to why the governor and the chief security officer of the state seems powerless, let me ask you, if the reverse were the case, if you had the powers as the governor of Zamfara State, what would you do differently?
What I will do differently is to go in there and crush these guys within the shortest possible time, because they are under my command. But right now they're not under my command. So I have to rely on federal government to give instructions. And that is why this collaboration between the state and federal government is important. And for now, it's kind of seamless. And this is one of the reasons why we're able to get this guy and kill him 3 days ago. So my prayer now is to sustain this effort. If we're able to sustain and take the war to them, not wait until when they are attacked, I think within the shortest possible time, it will be a different story.
Interesting. Let's talk about more efforts. There have been previous efforts to negotiate with bandits in the past. Previous administrations across various parties and various states had tried it.
Did it work?
Well, it appeared.
Was there any difference?
But there was a channel.
Was there any significant changes?
Those are valid questions, but it did happen.
I'm asking you.
Well, we heard stories of how they failed, but initially they were set up. So the question is...
That is the reason why I said, for me,
yes,
I will not negotiate with a bandit.
Great. Mr. Governor, let me just ask you the question, because
yes,
I was laying a background to it. That
okay.
It's been one of the options that some governments have explored. And you made the headlines late last year when you accused the federal government of negotiating with bandits in your state without your knowledge. I believe the phrase you used was clandestine negotiations. So they do exist. Why don't you want to explore that? Is it because they have failed in the past, as you have highlighted?
Adesha, this is not the first time we had of such understanding or negotiation, to call it, between federal government or even the state government and the bandits. The question is, did that yield any results? Why didn't the killings stop? That's the question. So that means something fundamental is wrong. And if you realize something is wrong, then you need to really change your tactics. And that is why from day one I said, I will not negotiate with any bandit. The only condition that I will is when they lay their arms with a very clear term without any condition attached to it.
How much of that have you seen? Has it worked either?
For me, as a layman, what I believe is you don't negotiate at the point of weakness. You only negotiate at the point of strength. And that is the only way these people understand you're serious and you're committed. And you have spiritual power. It's like you're just making them much more important than the people that are being killed. And that is unfair. Why would you go and negotiate with somebody who is killing innocent people? It doesn't make sense. And like you rightly said, as a chief security officer of a state, why would someone come into my state with my knowledge to negotiate with these people? Is that fair? I should be the first point of contact. Whatever it is, let's sit down, agree, and discuss. At least I have an idea. And I can tell them exactly what it is because I live with these people day and night. Having sleepless nights, phone calls every day. X is being attacked. People are being kidnapped. So,
did the federal government tell you why they took that decision without your knowledge? Did they admit it?
We had series of meetings and we came to a common understanding. And so far, it is going. And that is why we insist on that synergy between states and federal government. So far, so good. And my prayer is it should be sustained so that we can get to the end of this banditry. These are just few people terrorizing people. You think they are more powerful than the state?
At this point, it does look like so.
I don't think so. We are ready, we are committed, and we'll come to the end of banditry in Zamfara State, northern Nigeria, as well as Nigeria in general.
That is reassuring, and we really do hope that that comes to fruition.
Absolutely.
And I think every Nigerian...
We've started doing that.
We really hope for that.
And it will be sustained.
Indeed. Well, speaking about clandestine operations or negotiations, very recently there was a letter allegedly signed by your secretary to the state government. It went viral. It reportedly requested a sum of about 1.3 billion naira, I recall, for settlements with some bandit kingpins for you to be able to carry out activities in the state. Well, your government came out very quickly to deny that. But where did that letter originate from? I mean, it's a couple of weeks after. Have you been able to identify where it came from and who was behind it?
First of all, it was a very, very big mischief.
Mischief?
By political opponents to paint Zamfara State Governor Dodolal as a bad guy. I worked for more than 30 years in my life. I have experience in governance. There is no way any right-thinking person will sit down and write that kind of memo, knowing that someday somebody will come and look at that memo. And I'll be so stupid enough to sit down and write names of all the bandits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bandits, to give them money. My stand has always been clear to whoever cares to listen. I do not and I will not negotiate with bandits. If you look at the heading of that letter, it says Northwest Governors Meeting in Katsina State. This is something that took place 3 months ago. If you look at the body of the letter, it's asking for money. And there are 2 parts of that letter. One for the bandit, one for some journalist.
Yes.
Would I be stupid enough, even if I'm going to bribe you as a journalist, for example, to write down at this one, X amount of money? Does it make sense to you? That is number one. Number 2, I challenge anybody. The way the letter was addressed, HC, which means Honorable Commissioner of Finance, go and check all the memos from 29th of May 2023 to date. If there's any of such memo that I've addressed my commissioner, please, I'll give you a lot of money as a proof.
Okay, because we do not want to bet and I don't want to collect your money. But
so it's mischief.
Mischief.
And also to answer you, you know, it's a world of technology. It's so easy to find any information. And we're able to trace down the IP address of that.
So you do have those behind it?
We and
who was behind it?
No, I won't tell you because there's a legal process.
Has the person been arrested? Was it one individual?
Well,
was it a group of people?
we've communicated to the IG, DSS, NIA, with the full information as to who is responsible. So we're waiting, and the legal people will follow to make sure that person is brought to justice. So it will be a deterrent against such mischief.
Is this someone in politics?
They're not even
someone in your state?
You know, they're so narrow-minded, even the way the whole thing was crafted.
Was it someone in your state, Mr. Governor?
Well, Adesra, when the case is out, you'll know. We'll make it public.
Okay, we keep our fingers crossed. But for some of our viewers that are watching and who have heard you say, you know, you would not be stupid enough to write or sign a memo, they might interpret that as to say you don't leave trails. So are there clandestine negotiations or operations you do without writing and having to sign? I just wanted to clarify
I'm much more
that.
intelligent to be able to handle my memos.
So you do have memos like that, but you just don't sign?
There's nothing that is hidden. After all, it's for public consumption. That is why I said, go to Zamfara. You have a correspondent in Zamfara.
Yes, we do.
Can you tell that person tomorrow to go to Minister of Finance and look at all the memos, the way we write memos? If there's any of such memo, I will give that person 20 million naira tomorrow.
Okay, Mr. Governor, you do have a lot of money you want to give out.
Yeah, well, I can sacrifice that money.
You can sacrifice it. Great.
So as to bring justice and fairness to people.
Great. Interesting. There's a common sentiment that these bandits are well known, and you've explained it to us, and yet the situation remains. But despite all of this, one wonders how Zamfara and the governor are able to carry out any activities. Do you think that the situation in your state is blown out of proportion, or is it underreported, or you're just able to function within the chaos?
You see, number one thing is I refuse to be distracted by anybody. I remain focused. And that is the essence of governance. Zamfara State, unfortunately, has faced too many challenges. From education, we're at the bottom. Healthcare service delivery, non-existent. Infrastructure, zero. This is what Zamfara was known for. But for any responsible leader, you need to look at the situation, do effective planning, and be able to remain focused and deal with the situation. And that is exactly what we're doing. It is interesting to know that when we took over, there were a lot of liabilities, ranging from backlog of salaries, 4 months.
Examination fees.
NACO, WAEC, judiciary, scholarship, and so many others, running into billions of money. And guess what? We're able to clear all those. It is also interesting to know, since 2011, there hasn't been any payment of pension or gratuity to the tune of 13.6 billion. So far, we've cleared about 9 billion of that money. And we declared state of emergency on health November last year, November 28, 2023. In January this year, January 30th, we also declared state of emergency in education. And as we speak, we are rebuilding, reconstructing over 350 secondary schools. We are rebuilding and rehabilitating more than 400 primary schools. And this all come fully equipped with the furniture and everything, as well as capacity building. You've seen some of the schools. Some of your reporters, they went round to see. Yes. In fact, most of these things, we do them live for people to see.
You have them right on the screen. Yes.
What we've done in all the hospitals. In the past, we don't even have, what do you call this pregnant woman when you want to check and whatever they call it? In fact,
the ultrasound machine?
We had only one ultrasound. Even that ultrasound was
in the whole of the
solid
state?
tape. In the whole of Zamfara State. You've seen the hospital, the condition of our hospital. It was an eyesore. People were earning 7,000 naira as salary in Zamfara State, the civil servants. You can imagine, 7,000 naira. It's only when we came on board that we had to even go back to the initial minimum capital of minimum wage of 30,000. And that's what we're paying before we review. When we took over, we had 52 permanent secretaries. We had 48 commissioners. Doesn't make sense.
Mr. Governor,
water. For 5 good months, there was not a drop of water in the state capital. We had to settle KEDCO, Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company, 1.3 billion because all the, including government house, all the government offices were disconnected. The judiciary, they were owing 1.6 billion. We had to settle all that. And guess what? Our IGR, when we took over, was 90 million. Out of that 90 million, 90% was payee.
Okay, I have to ask, I know you have a long list of things you've done, and some of these things have been aired live, including here on the Rise News, that you've done in recent times. But I have to ask you, because I recall when you came into office, there was a controversy about, you said you met an empty treasury, and your predecessor practically cleaned out.
We made an empty treasury of less than 4 million naira.
4 million naira?
4 million naira. The records are there.
So how are you able to do all of this in the space of a year? Where's the money coming from? How are you able to achieve this?
Very interesting. It's the same money, the same allocation. That is what we're using.
FAC allocations?
It's a combination of FAC allocation. IGR now has moved from 90 million to over 1.2 billion right now. And more importantly, we are not stealing the money. The money is for people. And that is why we're executing all this contract. It is interesting to know we have not borrowed a dime up till now in Zamfara State. We're able to clear all the backlog. We're able to build schools. We're able to build healthcare services. We're able to take care of the workers. Our student in Sudan, our student in Cyprus, our student in India, we've all taken care of them. Paid all the NACO, paid all the WAEC, and all that. And we're building roads, drainages. It's ongoing. I'll invite you to Zamfara to come and see for yourself. We have before and after.
Yes, this is Zamfara.
This is Zamfara, exactly.
This is Zamfara, where
By the time you go to Zamfara in December, I'm sure you'll see entirely a different Zamfara because work is ongoing.
So this is Zamfara,
exactly,
that we also know is dealing with banditry, like we say.
We refuse to get distracted by all these people because that is what exactly they want to achieve. But we remain focused. So people will now see the dividend of democracy. That is the essence of governance.
And I have to ask you, this does look like the urban center of Zamfara that we're saying. Is this trickling down to the rural areas as well?
You know, we have 14 local governments. Each local government has its own peculiarity in terms of their needs. And what we're able to do is to identify those needs in different locations. For example, if you go to Bakura, they don't need roads. They need schools. They need hospitals. So you'll be wasting money to go and build roads in Bakura because even the ones they have, they usually put their footstep on the road and, you know. So every local government, there is no local government in Zamfara State that we are not doing one thing or the other depending on their need. Part of our budgeting process, we did bottom top. First, understand their needs. Because in the capital, in the past, you cannot move 200 meters on a good road. Whenever it rains, everywhere is flooded. But it's a different scenario. That is what we're doing.
Interesting. Before we let you go, Mr. Governor, let's talk a bit about politics. But I was going to ask you before then, because you did mention the minimum wage.
Yes.
So sorry to take you back. Are you going to be paying the 70,000 naira minimum wage?
What we're doing now is trying to even understand the nominal role as well as the payroll because it was non-existent in the past. So we're doing staff audit as well as job audit. And we're doing this in connection or combination with the labor union. By the time we're able to identify the genuine workers, we should be able to implement the new minimum wage in Zamfara State. And I also hope that some of those funds that were stolen under the previous administration, the EFCC will do justice and bring that money so that we can add to what we have now and be able to service our people.
Is this something you're actively pursuing for the EFCC to help you recover?
Well, I know there was a case even before I took over. Remember, sometimes around the 24th of May 2023, there was this pronouncement by EFCC that they were investigating Matuale for 70 billion. But like I said, when we took over and we look at the books, that 70 billion they're talking about is a child's play. And we make it known to EFCC. So we're waiting for EFCC now to see what they will do. Whether they will actually investigate Matuale or they will not. Okay. We are still on standby to see what will happen.
I mean, the new EFCC boss seems to be someone who has portrayed himself as diligent, active, one ready to fight corruption.
We are waiting for that in Zamfara State.
Have you had a conversation with him? Mr. Olukoyede of the EFCC?
He's somebody I know very well.
Are there any assurances?
There's nothing personal. This is official. A case was presented to them. And it's for them now to do the needful.
Great. Let's quickly speak about politics before I let you leave. As the governor of Zamfara, you're a PDP governor, and your party is contending with a lot of internal wranglings and bickering with the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, making pronouncements recently he was going to put fire in some states. You were part of the governors who visited Rivers State, I recall, to visit Governor Siminalayi Fubara.
No, unfortunately, I didn't go that time.
You didn't go then, but you've been in Rivers recently.
Yeah.
What did you make of the comments of the minister of the FCT? Who's the member of your party?
Well, I guess, I mean, that is his own personal commitment or personal
Was it really personal when he said, I will put fire in your states?
Well, we're still waiting. There will always be issues in politics. What matters is the way it's being handled. And we're doing our best to see how or what would be the best way to handle such situations.
Do you think PDP can overcome this crisis, or is this the beginning of the end of your party?
There will always be crises in any political party. This is not the first time. There's also a crisis in APC. So are other political parties. So there's nothing new. Like I said, it's the way and manner the issue's been handled. That is what matters.
And do you think it's been handled properly by your party?
It's been handled. It's been handled. We'll come out of it. It's not unsurmountable.
There's a difference between being handled and being handled properly.
Well, like I said, it's an ongoing process. Give us time. We'll come out of it like every other political party.
Well, I hope your party can survive the time.
Absolutely. We will survive. We're surviving and we'll still survive.
Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, thank you so much for your time on Primetime tonight. We do appreciate it once again. It's been a delight having this conversation with you.
Thank you very much, Adesa.
We wish Zamfara the best.
So guys, finally the Nigerian military has been exposed. Will they say they've not seen this video trending on Twitter and on TikTok? I mean, with the Nigerian military say they've not seen this video that has been trending on Twitter and on TikTok. Guess what? These bad guys in the bush are asking Nigerians to cooperate with them so that they can kidnap Tinubu. Can you imagine? They said they want Tinubu. Nigerians should help them get in touch with Tinubu, that they want to take him in. So guys, a whole lot is happening in this country. Will the military and other security agents tell us that they don't know where these people are? They have a TikTok account. Their videos are on Twitter. Will they tell the world that they don't know where these people are? You need to see how these people are flaunting on the social media, showcasing their money, their equipment and all their machinery, and even those that they have captivated. So guys, will the Nigerian military say they don't know the whereabouts of these people? But guess what? Those that protested during the End Bad Governance protest are taken in. They've been in jail for some time now, and we don't know when they'll be out. If you speak against the government, they will say they will come for arrest. But these people are on Twitter, displaying themselves. This time, they are calling on Nigerians to cooperate with them so that they can kidnap Tinubu. And nobody is doing anything about it. The video has been circulating all over the places. So guys, also the Zamfara governor was interviewed on, the activities of bandits in his state. And so finally, you have seen it for yourself that these people, they are not after the good of the Nigerian people. I mean the current government. They don't know what they are doing, and that is why these bad guys in the bush can just come out and make this kind of video. Nobody is talking about it. The Nigerian military is not tracing them. Those of them that try to, other security agents, nobody is talking about what these guys are doing on Twitter. You need to see the kind of videos they are posting, and guess what? People are following them. People are enjoying what they are doing, and nobody is saying anything about that. But if people should come out to protest about bad governance, elections, guess what? The Tinubu's government will just take the person in. That's for you to know the kind of country we are living in. Anyway, let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell.